the founder of the Opus Dei needed to be canonized. Now, when you talk about the founder of the Opus Dei, you talk about the founder of a group, which I do not want to go into detail to. I just mentioned a few things that has to be counted among the most powerful groups in church history. In church history, not world history, but church history. Because of the policy of the Opus Dei to make sure that the more powerful your position is, the more they want you as a member. Which, of course, is a very clever approach to power as such, and to money, needless to say. And I know from a witness within the Congregation for the Causes of the Saints, a witness that I will name publicly once he's dead, that the procedure for getting the founder of the Opus Dei beatified was vitiated. First of all, they tried to beatify a man who was at least dishonest publicly when he claimed that he had a doctorate in canon law. Until today, I have not seen, even though there were many requests, I have not seen the written proof to that fact. At the same time, this man, in a time under Pius XII, when the decree of Pius XII, 1949, that the membership in the Communist Party or the collaboration in the Communist Party would be under excommunication, the founder of the Opus Dei would accept Spanish or Italian members of the Communist Party into the Opus Dei, and when they asked the founder, but don't we have to leave the Communist Party then? He would answer, no, you don't have to. That's public disobedience to a valid and validly promulgated decree by Pope Pius XII. By the way, John the 23rd did the exact same thing when he was still Angelo Cardinale Roncalli, Patriarch of Venice. He sided with the Communist Union in Venice against the Italian government. Now, however that might have been under particular circumstances justified in the sense of a local justice, it cannot be justified on the aspect of obedience to a public papal decree that put the collaboration with the communists under excommunication. So even the case of John the 23rd has to be considered most probably invalid, also for other reasons which I will mention. And now the worst thing about it is they not only try to canonize, which of course officially has happened last Sunday, but in my eyes is not valid. They tried to canonize somebody who, for example, in his books was at least very close to heresy, if not a heretic, very close to heresy. Pius X, in his Pascendi Dominici Gregis, explicitly condemned and warned of the doctrine that would constitute the laity as the basis of the church. That's in Pascendi Dominici Gregis when he talks about the modernists being divided in progressives and conservatives. And then he says that the progressives are the ones who want to establish the laity as the foundation or the basis of the church. Well, this is exactly what the founder of the Opus Dei said. And here's another thing you have to see. The former personal secretary of the Opus Dei, later the successor to José María Escrivá de Balaguer as the leader of the Opus Dei, now being under examination for the causes of the saints, mind you. That's how fast it goes with the Opus Dei. Alvaro del Portillo, in his introduction to the Footprints of the Sower, I think that's the English title of the book, I only have it in German, said that Gaudium et Spes of Vatican II, which is a blasphemous decree, by saying Gaudium Spes number 12, that the believers and non-believers unanimously agree that all the activities of human beings are directed towards man as its center and summit. This is a perfect substitution of God with man. And now here, the secretary and successor of the founder of the Opus Dei, claims that this was actually, this whole document, Gaudium et Spes, was actually the mind of the founder of the Opus Dei. And that again corresponds with his own statements in his own books. So we are dealing with a person who was at least close to heresy, who was publicly disobedient, and who certainly did not have an ounce of humility. Because a humble priest, especially a Spanish priest, if he is humble, would never get, first of all, get rid of the name of his mother. It's a long-standing, I don't know exactly how long, but long-standing Spanish and Portuguese tradition that your family name is twofold. You'll always have first the name of your mother, and then you have the name of your father. José María Escrivá de Balaguer was not born as José María Escrivá de Balaguer. He was born as José María Escrivá Albás. Escrivá with a bravo, B, bravo, B as in bravo, Escrivá. And his second family name was Albás, A-L-B-A-S, Alpha Lima Bravo Alpha Sierra, for those who know how to spell. His name was Escrivá Albás. Albás was his mother's family name. The first thing he did, this inspired example of humility, he threw out his mother's name and assumed a de Balaguer, which is sort of local nobility. The perfect example of humility. This perfect example of humility later on, in an even greater display of humility, arrogated the title of the Marquis of Peralta for himself. This is all in documents, what I'm saying. Now how come that a humble Spanish priest, the Grand Master of Humility, founder of the Opus Dei, would request the title of a Marquis for himself, higher than a Count, just between the Count and the Duke? Not John Wayne, but the Duke. I mean, the noble title, Duke. How come he would assume that title? Especially in such an absurd context, because the Marquis of Peralta is not a hereditary title. There was a guy back then in the 16th century who did a favor to the Emperor Charles V, and Charles V said, well, what do you want? Can I do something for you? And the man said, yes, Your Majesty, I'd love to have a pension, so I won't have to work. So Emperor Charles V made him the Marquis de Peralta ad personam, personally, like the English sir. If you're the son of a sir, you're still Mr. And the son of the Marquis de Peralta was a Mr., a Senor. How could the founder of the Opus Dei want or deserve, as a matter of fact, the title of a Marquis who existed once in Spanish history? Why would he want a Marquis that was never his and could not be his, neither from his father's nor his mother's side? Is that what you call a perfect example of humility? Hi, John, you can call me a Count from now on. I'm Count Hesse to you, okay? Of course he got the title because by the time he wanted that title, the competent ministry in Spain was already in the hands of the Opus Dei. That's how things work. And here you have a man canonized for his humility, because there can't be a saint who is not humble, canonized for his humility. So you have the holy Saint Marquis de Peralta. Saint José María Escrivá de Balaguer, Marquis de Peralta. Humbly born as the José María Escrivá Albás, Escrivá being a Jewish name, Albás being a Jewish name, by the way. Escrivá, bravo. I spell it for those who are interested. Echo, Sierra, Charlie, Romeo, India, Bravo, Alpha. Is the Spanish word for scribe. There are people in this country who still have the German name Schriftgelehrter. Schriftgelehrter means scribe. Escriba means scribe. And the Spanish word albás doesn't mean white. White in Spanish means blanco. Albás, which is derived from the Latin, Albus. The priest is wearing an alb because it's white. Albas in American would be spelled Weiss. W-E-I-S-Z. Whiskey, Echo, India, Sierra, Zulu. Weiss. Somebody whose name is Shmuel Weiss, you don't have to guess if he is a Jew or a Gentile. You know it. So his name was actually Joseph Maria Schriftgelehrter Weiss, or Joseph Mary Scribe Weiss, or Weiss. Why does the man assume a Spanish name? Was he ashamed of being a Jew? A saint was never ashamed of being a Jew. Petrus, Paulus, Andreas, Jacobus, Johannes, the 12 apostles were not ashamed of being Jews. Paulus said, I'm a Jew. After his conversion. He was not ashamed of being a Jew. Now, how could someone become a Catholic saint if he was ashamed of being Jewish? When St. Paul said you have to be a Jew to the Jews, a Greek to the Greeks, and a Roman to the Romans. And here is a man who was born with the Jewish name, Escriba Albas, and then he's obviously that much ashamed of being Jewish that he changes his name, but he doesn't change his name into just an Aryan Spanish name. No, he changes his name into some local nobility, and then he claims the Marquis of Peralta. This man was so obviously totally lacking in humility that this certainly constitutes a vice in his cause. And now here's the thing. I have evidence that testimony against the man was not admitted in Rome. That reminds me of a certain Josip Djugashvili. Remember? Josip Vissarionovich Djugashvili? Oh, he was more famous under the name Stalin. No testimony admitted against him. Josip Vissarionovich Djugashvili would not have admitted any testimony against him. Any witness against him would be eliminated. So therefore, we have a vitiated cause.